Excellent. All right. It's top of the hour. Welcome to your midday Jock Shock Jams with Salsa Dave and the Flack, which is short for Flaccid.
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome, ears. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. It's I'm not ears. You're welcoming the listeners, I imagine.
I'm welcoming their ears. I don't care about them.
How'd you like that? That was a good intro.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
You should just come on every week and do the intro for me. I think people are tired of hearing me say, all right.
Only if I can still say, kid seats are still just $5.
Yeah, yes, please.
But we do charge children for listening, so if they're in the car with you or at your home and they're sitting down, pay up.
They're going to have to pay a couple dollars to us.
Yeah, we have a PayPal.
Cash App,
yeah,
PayPal.
Yeah. Zelle.
We take checks,
Only cashier's checks,
from
though.
Whoever.
Or traveler's checks. No personals.
Specifically traveler's checks. I'm not sure what that is. Is it just a check that's like verified?
I think you used to be able to get them at airports.
I
think that's how the Catch Me If You Can guy scammed some people out of their sweet moolah. I think was through traveler's checks. I don't think they make them anymore because they were too easy to forge.
Never saw that movie. Absolutely in love with the story.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, it's a great movie. One of Spielberg's best, easily.
Is it better than Lolita?
Wait, he made that into a movie?
He did.
What?
I don't know if that's a Spielberg movie, but I think it is. Did he do that extraterrestrial movie?
Yes, E.T. I was like extraterrestrial. Oh, I was like, it was either E.T. or it was what's the other one?
I think it's called Extraterrestrial.
Isn't there another one called like something from Close Encounters? That's the other one he did.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of.
I don't really watch a lot of space movies, which, take it or leave it, but I'm not going to know them.
Yeah. Wait a second. Where was the introductions, man? We skipped over them.
Oh, hey, everybody. You know me. All right. It's old Sam. I'm chilling. I'm always chilling. You know that. I've got a special friend with me. I'm only doing this introduction because he just asked me to. And I did it in the first take, and we messed that up pretty bad. We being me. But, yeah. Welcome to the show, Nagasaki-Mexico.
What? Let's watch Paddington 2 finally.
Yeah.
I know all the fans of my lore. I've only been on this show for my second time now, but obviously my mythos has been developed. And
it has, yeah. People keep writing in. They say, "Hey, get Nagasaki back on.
Yeah.
Figure out what he does for work."
Well, weirdly, even though I never gave my LinkedIn at the end of the last episode, I've been getting messages on LinkedIn being like, "Dude, what's your thoughts on Paddington 2?" And I'm like, "Dude, you had to watch it."
Hot singles in your area. Maybe that's a different LinkedIn.
That's I'm dating someone now, but I just put up Tinder BFF or Bumble BFF, and just my profile is let's watch Paddington 2. I don't care about any future interactions. I just want to see freaking.
Talk to me about this Bumble BFF. What is that?
So I found this out actually. I was in Texas a week or two ago, or actually technically the last 2 weeks. But I'm so cultured.
And would you say you went to Texas for work?
Yeah. Well, guess what I work
to do what?
Anyway,
I want to know bad.
Two fun facts. One, in the South, you can put butter in your coffee. It's a common thing.
You can't do that in the North. Or
well, I mean, you can
with
get in looks, but in the South, they're just like butter it up.
Yeah.
Throw that Texas toast in there.
Hi there, honey. What can I get for you today? My name's Flo. Give me a black coffee with butter and maybe some looks.
Oh man, I like that you can order looks at the side in Texas restaurants. It's a lot more polite there.
Oh yeah. That's what I've been to Texas once, and my only memory of it is picking up a syringe and saying, "Dad, look what I found," and him being like, "Put that down," and then going to the hospital and being going back every 6 months for treatment.
So anyway, Bumble BFF. I just wanted to make sure there was enough of a beat. My buddy and his
pause
fiance.
for laughter.
So my buddy and his fiance moved into the area. So he was the first friend I made in college that I didn't know from anything else previous. Didn't know he was gay for 9 months. That was my bad. My bad, Mike. If you ever listen to this,
My bad, Mike.
yeah. To be fair, you didn't tell me for 9 months. But to be
also,
fair, like 4 people told me, and I'm like, he would have told me. And then
Did you not just say my friend and his wife?
no, his fiance.
His fiance. Okay.
His
okay.
fiance is his fiance's
And
name
I
is
just
James.
assumed.
And this is the guy who talked about this to me because they had moved from San Francisco to Dallas, and he just said, "Oh yeah, I'm so good at making all these friends because he's a really sociable, nice, funny dude." And he just got Bumble BFF, and that's how he did it. Which is, it's the exact same premise: swipe left or right, but it's for making friends. It's not you
Very
purposely go on there to just meet people online. It's like is it Meetup is the website?
I don't know. I don't do a lot of stuff on the internet.
Okay.
What I do is pretty locked in on one thing.
Yeah, it's purposely made just to cater to people with similar interests and like, hey, I'm new in town and I don't mean to try and bang you. I mean to just say, let's watch fucking Paddington 2.
Maybe we bang afterwards or during. Probably pretty awkward, being that it's a children's movie and the sequel to one based on a
dude. You haven't
series
heard
of
that,
books.
dude. The soundtrack is fucking sexy.
To Paddington 2?
Oh, just
You've listened to the soundtrack, but you haven't seen the movie yet.
I put in the Bath and Body Works body salts. I
Ooh.
get that cocoa butter to eat, and I just revel in that soundtrack.
That's great. That sounds extremely relaxing.
Yeah, it's like John Philip Sousa.
I haven't seen it, but I love the Cat in the Hat. So, was that John Philip Sousa
In the composer?
of the Cat in the Hat?
No, John Philip Sousa he's a March writer.
Oh, sure, not the beloved children's author.
No, that's Dr. John Philip Sousa.
Oh, sure, my
I
bad.
think I think his name is Theodore something Huxtable. No, that's
Geisel.
not it. Geisel.
Yeah. Theo.
something Theodore. Some weirdo. I don't know.
So,
Hold on a second.
oh man, that was a great sound effect.
Thank you.
What was that? Slobbing knob?
Slavin.
Were you cleaning a doorknob with slobber? Or let me hear it again. Yep. Yeah. That's a bubbling creek. I love that. Made of coffee in a cup and your mouth.
We're not sponsored by Folgers.
Not sponsored by Folgers. If the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, you need to reassess your life. I can say that because we're not sponsored by Folgers.
Screw you, Folger.
Pretty crazy weather recently, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I think we should actually probably if we could throw it out to our weatherman on the scene. We got Donnie Johnson
Hey everybody.
out there. All right, so
This is Donnie John. Hey everybody, KQR Donnie. It's me, Donnie, doing the weather.
all right, Donnie. That seemed it seemed a little bit longer than I would have liked, but anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. Can you step outside real quick and then just kind of describe the torrential downpour I believe that we're having?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to just open the door real quick.
Great. It's crazy out here. This rain, cats and dogs. I don't know. I'm blown away.
No, Donnie, no.
Back to the scene. Wow, that was crazy. I hope Johnny's okay.
Donnie, you mean?
I haven't known him that long. I just started this job.
He's a Johnny. He's a real Johnny.
He's a real
You
Johnny.
don't need to remember him.
It's been crazy here. This rain, I don't mean to actually talk about weather on the podcast, but
Yeah.
our house was struck by lightning.
What?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
On Friday, I'm 90% sure.
Okay.
So,
Wait, so you don't have what's the evidence then?
So the evidence was a really bright, so the lights dimmed and then got really bright.
Yeah.
And then there was a crazy flash, right?
Oh, so it
But,
surged.
I think so. I don't know the terminology. It was followed by the loudest thunder I've ever felt. It was that close.
So you felt it instead of heard it.
It was like flash and then bang. Well, I heard it too.
Oh,
But I felt it and my body felt weird for 25 minutes. And then 3 days later, my
Are you
roommate,
sure this is a weather story or is this a different kind of story? if you know what I-
this all
Bow, chicka, chicka, bow, wow.
This all happened when I was 13. I was going through something. I stuck my finger in the mud, and here we are today.
No, but Eric, my roommate, friend of the show, his everything that was plugged in his room to like 2 different outlets is busted. It doesn't work anymore. Lost like a
Jesus.
TV and Xbox.
Oh, dude.
What
rough.
really cheeses me off is the surge protector didn't work and now it's broken.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we've got some rebuilding to do,
I was
but
gonna say, is there a mark on your roof or something, or?
haven't been on the roof yet. It's been pretty crappy outside. Don't really want to be on a roof.
That's fair. I was gonna say it's I mean, also not to go down the weather rabbit hole. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news weather because I have family out in Hawaii, but they were telling me the floods got so bad in where my cousin lives that there was water literally shooting out of the outlets. So literally, you know how like those outlets look like faces? It literally looked like there was tears coming out of eyes and the mouth of the outlet, just
man.
but like puking tears, like.
Like how like anime characters cry.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help that I'm half Japanese and that they're also half Japanese,
Oh, sure.
and that they definitely. I would not be surprised if they had those like outlet covers where there's faces. I should make those. I would be like freaking what do they call them? Weebos.
Weebos.
People who are really into anime.
Yeah.
They would buy the hell out of those.
I think they call them furries. Oh no, that's a whole. That's
no,
totally different thing.
I don't mind anime, but furries is a definitely different thing. That's like sex with animals.
No, that's bestiality. I think.
How do you know? Police!
All right, so there's this one time I was 13. I stuck my finger in the mud, and then my dog. Well, that's. I don't need to go into detail. It's pretty graphic.
Rest in peace, Essie.
God.
That was our dog's name. Earlier you mentioned your job. You brought it up out of the blue. It sounded like you wanted to talk to it. You were in Texas 2 weeks in a row. That's kind of a big deal for a couple of young guns. Because you're what, 17?
I mean, in looks
In looks, absolutely.
and
17.
maturity
You're like,
and age.
because I'm 17.
I'm 17-year-old Nate. Oh, what do I do with this woman? She's at my couch.
You're like TV 17. You know, like if you shaved and like not all the way, but we can still see it
I'm
come
like
through. It's
I'm Hannah Montana's brother in 10 years.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, wait, that guy was 38 playing a 15-year-old. If I shave my beard, but if I keep the beard, I look like the after effect of the same actor when he spiraled into his like drug induced or alcoholic phase.
I'm not super familiar with the rise and fall of Hannah Montana stars.
I don't know if that's the real arc. I'm just archetyping.
I
him.
was like, I mean, it was a great show. Yeah. Emmy nominated, but are we really? Did you pay attention to her brother?
Oh, I followed him just intensively.
I feel like his name was
My
like
eyeballs.
Milo in the show, or maybe that was real life.
I don't know. It's so strange that they didn't just get her real brother.
It is bizarre.
Does she have a brother?
I don't know. She has a sister for sure, and she definitely
They
has a
could've-
dad.
Yeah, I was like, her dad's in the show. Why don't they just get the Cyrus clan? You know what I mean? Besides I mean, look what it did. Look how they turned out. They're not normal.
Well, like the movie Schitt's Creek was created by Dan Levy and Eugene Levy.
Yeah,
his father.
father son. Yeah.
Yeah. And the daughter sister is in that show, but she does not play the daughter sister.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which makes me sound like I'm like naming a Mormon family.
Take
Father,
your old-
brother, daughter, sister, uncle, grandpa,
Yeah.
aunt, uncle. No, that wouldn't work.
Not.
I guess it
not
would in
much.
this day and age, where gender is a construct and the family tree is a construct or whatever social.
Yeah, how everything's a construct.
I don't get any of it.
I don't know if this is. I mean, if we're gonna jump into the topics that we said we were going to today, my work, which is controversial,
My work.
gender, which is controversial, maybe politics if we're feeling it. Who knows, man? I don't know. I don't think I could speak. I took a women's studies class my first semester of college.
Oh, okay. So you're
because a lady told me to, which seems like completely in line with the class.
Yeah.
And just with the mantra. But
so you know what you're talking about.
I know more than most women.
And I'm here to tell you all about it, ladies.
Yeah. Let me just every single time my professor talked, I was like, "Can I explain this to the room again?"
Yeah. Like, okay, you're doing a great job, but I think I can I know I can do it better.
Not to circle back to work too quickly, but we were in a meeting at one point and we were doing it via telephone or WebEx or Skype or whatever. And
Telephone and Skype are Was it a video call or was it a telephone?
So it was basic. It was WebEx, which is like Skype but corporate or whatever. Corporate Skype.
Sellout.
Yeah, basically. You know me and my sandals coming in from work. My big old
I use
flip-flop.
FaceTime, the most corporate of the
Of the meetings when you guys are meeting for like production and stuff.
No, FaceTime, the Apple video call service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I try not to see anybody if I don't have to. Leave me alone. The sun's out.
Oh, it's not bad. Oh, well, wait.
What was happening on this call, dog?
Oh, no, there's the lady I was with who's really nice and really intelligent. The problem is we were all in Texas, and then we were talking with people in Minnesota, and she has the quietest voice of all time. So I literally had to repeat everything she was saying to the people so they could hear her.
Oh, man. So there's like a weird echo.
Well, it was more of just I had to clarify right away. I said, I'm saying this loudly not because I'm mansplaining, because she's too quiet. And she literally asked me, she's like, can you just tell them what I'm saying? Or like, she hated it. She was like one of those way too polite people. Like she wouldn't interrupt people over the phone if she had a question or felt like she couldn't. She's literally one of the like nicest pushover people I've ever met in my life. And I don't mean that in a mean way.
Is she single?
No, she was married.
Think she wants to be on the podcast?
No.
She sounds like a great like in an audio medium. She sounds like a great guest.
The person who you can't hear very well, who doesn't like interrupting, would be probably perfect.
Yeah, I was trying to do a really high-pitched lady's voice.
Well, you know, believe it or not, I actually invited her in. Nina, you want to say something?
No.
I was just going to say, I was like, either you were going to do the voice or we were just going to have a pause. Either way would have worked.
It would have worked. Speaking of work, when you fly for work, is this something you enjoy?
Yeah and no.
Yeah?
I don't think, I don't know. I don't know if I personally do well on flights. I don't think humans do well personally on flights. People who are like, oh, I love flying, I don't get that because it's not natural. First of all, it's against God's will.
It is.
First problem.
You're sinning by stepping into that plane.
Yeah. Planes are big metallic birds that were not even referenced in the Bible.
Yeah.
They were so sinful.
I see you there praying for your safety. Why don't you also ask forgiveness for your business class seat?
Exactly. Oh, gosh. We weren't meant to go to China in a couple of hours. It's supposed to take years.
It is, You're supposed to lose 90% of the crew on the way.
Yeah,
you know?
and someone's supposed to, like, that's how it naturally was. we just weirdly just outed ourselves as Luddites and very fundamental Christians on this podcast.
Yeah, well, I like to be completely truthful and, you know, be 100% transparent, but not like, I don't want to be 100% Jeffrey Tambor transparent.
Solid.
So yes, you do like flying.
Yeah, there's aspects that are nice. So right, for example, being able to watch TV for free.
Love it.
Yeah, it's just like there's the best part, there's no guilt because there's so little you can do stuck in that chair. That's like I can watch any movie or television show. I saw this. I'll do a plug for an excellent TV show by the BBC called Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Very strange.
I don't know what it is. I love the title.
Very strange. It was based off of Douglas Adams' book series, and he wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Love it.
And then a more recent book that I'd love to talk about if we get time, because it was one of the best books I've read in a really long time, called Last Chance to See. It's about animals, endangered animals.
Let's go right into it. Hit me with a synopsis.
Of the book or the show?
The book.
Okay.
You want to talk about the book or the show?
The show, honestly, we should just watch the pilot, man. I'd be curious of your opinion today.
You want to do that on the podcast?
Yeah, I thought it was a Paddington pilot or Paddington 2 podcast. Now it's going to be a pilot podcast for BBC British comedies. We'll
set it up in real time too, so just stay tuned.
As we said, we just hear us clicking on like the, where is it? So I think it's on Hulu. Do you got Hulu? Oh no, I only got Amazon. Shit.
We have all the streaming services. We've even recently picked up Shudder, the completely horror streaming site, and that's been phenomenal with this crappy weather. It feels like every night I get to watch something new and spooky.
Nice.
I was downstairs yesterday doing laundry, peeing in the sink, and the lights were off, and I was like, man, there might be a ghost down here. I shouldn't have joked about the old woman who died in this house, because somebody has died in this house.
2 people, right?
The owner died, and her mother died here. I don't know if the owner died here.
Oh, okay.
But I should have her son on and really ask those hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, just get him on and relive some very tragic moments in his family's history.
Yeah. But no, I got really in my head, and then I immediately snapped out of it, and I said, ghosts aren't real. If they were, they would have gotten me by now.
I wish I had your fortitude when it came to scary, spooky stuff, because I can't do that.
Oh,
It's dark and spooky.
Make me look at a field of corn under a full moon? No, thank you. Werewolves? I don't know if they're real or not. Ghosts?
Eh.
Do I believe in spirits? Yeah, but not like
But not like a sheet of, I don't know, like someone's bed sheet with eyes.
Like I don't think that there's spirits roaming the earth, messing with people.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they'll kill a light every now and then to spook you. But no, I don't think they can cause any physical damage.
I would hope so, if they do exist, which, I don't believe in it, but I don't not believe in it.
If there are any ghosts in this room right now, come and get me, and this will be proof.
Yeah, I was gonna say possess me right now and be interviewed on the podcast. That'd be wonderful, right?
Yeah.
If like a 1800.
Nate, what's wrong? Nate, what's wrong?
Sorry, I had a cough. Nothing happened.
That was wild. It kind of felt like we were going through an earthquake, or maybe our house was being struck by lightning.
Yeah, no, it's just something in my throat. Maybe there's something with the coffee. I don't know.
It could be. How do you like the coffee?
It's excellent. It's good cream.
That coconut meat really comes through.
Yeah, surprisingly, I was gonna say.
Bothered. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if it enjoys it. But anyway, the book. This is obviously.
Can we go back to airplanes really quick?
Yeah, of course.
You fly a lot. I've flown a lot in my life, and quite a bit this year. I've come to understand that airplanes and it's really a classist system.
Right.
Like they, if you're poor and you can only afford second class. I don't know what it's called behind first class. Economy,
I think that there's business. I think some people call it different stuff. Coach is a classic name for it. Coach business first.
I call my dad coach. But yeah, I mean, it's not only first class, second class, third class, or economy class or whatever, but it truly comes through, and you see it. You ever upgrade to first class, or do you guys fly first class?
I've never. No, I will never get paid to fly first class for work, for one. But also, I don't think I'll ever fly first class. Not like even. Maybe a little bit personally. I won't fly first class, but it's just
Just as like a moral code, or you just don't want to spend the money on it.
I don't want to spend the money on such a short trip.
Sure.
I mean, right? I can understand it. Maybe if I was going like 20 hours, to an extent, it's like, and you're already paying $1,000 for the plane ticket.
What's another $200?
Yeah, you could add. I could see that, and I understand the people who are disabled, or they just have a hard time sleeping, or or they, even if people just want to enjoy it. But for, I don't know, especially for the flights I take, from here to Texas is a couple hours. Most of the flights I take are in country.
Yeah.
The farthest for us is California, probably Southern California. And that's 3.5 hours. And I'm like, I can, as long as I get up in the middle of the flight, even just to get up and I'll walk to the bathroom and then I'll stand in there, not use the bathroom, just so I could use the excuse to walk and stand, which is kind of weird. I could just probably walk and stand in the aisle. I don't have to go to the bathroom and waste people's time, but I do that.
Yeah, you come out and there's a line and you're like, oh, I must have been
I just take all the toilet paper and just shove it in there, and I'm like, they're going to think I'm having a great time or had a great time.
Either this guy ate a lot of toilet paper before he went to the bathroom and that's what he pooped out, or he just uses a lot.
I would love to do that. And then just go out and be like, this wasn't me. This wasn't the last guy. I just stood here. But it was... And
they'll be like, no, you didn't. You're totally lying.
Gosh.
But if that's what you did, that'd be very funny.
Yeah. But especially recently with flying, I got to experience a couple new shows. That was great. Oh, I realized putting my mouth closer to this makes it sound better. I got to experience a couple new...
The closer your mouth, the better. Ooh,
the closer, the better. But yeah, I got to experience a couple great shows. On the plane, I have a Nintendo Switch, so I find it's that's a super big time killer, super easy.
Is that something you can bring places?
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring anything places.
Anywhere. Yeah,
it's
it
like
gets
a
through
portable
security.
device?
Yeah, it gets through security, and it plays AAA level games. Like I can play Zelda or Mario or literally just any major game, which is nice. And then books too. I have finished 2 books. The one I want to talk about, and then
On your
another
Nintendo
one
Switch?
on my Nintendo Switch. It should get a Kindle feature. It would be good. A good way to encourage people to read.
And I do want to hear about this book,
Yeah.
but I think we got to go to an ad.
Oh yeah, it's probably about that time. We're in like the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, the first sponsor on this week's episode is The Beach. Come for the water, stay for the water, leave with the sand. It is honestly not worth your time if you hate sand. Don't go to the beach. If you love water, drink some. The beach.
This podcast is also brought to you by running. Do you ever think walking's too slow and driving's too fast? Did you ever wish the water would come out of your sink? Running. Do it. A wonderful podcast-related activity.
The next, this episode is also brought to you by McCormick's Paprika Spice. You know, deviled egg vokit. Paprika. Making your eggs and your chest just a little darker.
Yeah, and shout out to Blue's Clues, my favorite character, Paprika.
Oh, paprika, absolutely.
Little baby Pabs.
That was Salt and Pepper's baby.
Yeah, Salt and Pepper had. Yeah, I think actually Salt was cheating on Pepper.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I was gonna say that was not. Why wasn't it just a mixed? I've seen Salt and Pepper shakers mixed. That's poor Salt. Or was it Pepper?
It's not a bad way to do it.
Yeah. This podcast also brought to you by Boot Crate. Have you heard of Loot Crate, where you can get a bunch of trash? It's like that, but with boots. So something you'll actually use.
If you go to bootcrate.com and / deviled eggvocate podcast guest Nate Nagasaki-Mexico, you will be entered to win 3% off one Boot Crate's 1 month of a Boot Crate subscription. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, that's great. I'll get my 3% off. I'll get a pair of boots. I'll cancel the subscription. The tough part is you get 1 boot per box.
Right.
These crates aren't big enough to be sending out 2 boots at a time.
The part of it is you get a custom boot tailor when you sign up for the crate, and they personalize your styles to them. You answer a 3,000 question survey, and they say, okay, maybe you'll like this boot. Maybe you'll like this boot. And it just goes back and forth. It's just one guy for all of our customers.
Absolutely. It's an unbelievable service. You know, do you like hip hop? Maybe you'll get a set of Timberlands. Do you like working outside? Maybe Red Wings are for you. Do you hate members of the other races? Hey, we got just the boot. Doc Martens. This episode's not brought to you by Doc
Maybe
Martens.
you hate, or maybe you love feral cats. We'll send you Boots the cat. There's a cat named Boots, maybe? I don't know. One more sponsor? You feeling it?
Let's do it. We got time for one more.
The podcast is also finally brought to you by Fleshlight. When fucking your flashlight hurts too much, Fleshlight. Oh, sorry. I'm just sawing real quick. Just building a picture frame. I'm done.
I mean, you built that picture frame over the course of those ads that were recorded months ago. Built the whole frame using nothing but a saw. It's beautiful. I don't know how you can do that. I wish this wasn't just an audio medium.
Part of it truly.
He's
Sorry,
building
I have to get back into it.
Either
it's
he's
just,
building another picture frame, or he's really sleeping hard.
part of it. I think there is a style. I'm 99% confident of this, and it's not to, I guess, like stereotype me in the Japanese sense. There's a style of architecture that the Japanese invented where there's like no screws, no nails. It's it's all just pressure based on like the angles you cut the wood in.
I saw a piece like that at a museum once. It was interesting. I'll tell you what.
Really? I wish we had a picture.
I do, and I wish I could show you the picture, and then maybe you could describe it to the audience. It was at the museum in town, the art museum, not the Walker, but the
The Minneapolis Institute of Art.
MIA. Nailed it.
MIA.
It's a
Fly like paper, get high like planes.
put me in the back seat. Call me by my name.
All I
Call me by your name.
All I want to do is and remember there's like the cash sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works better if it's closer to the mic. Sound effects generally work better when they're...
Well, you know what? Not rehearsed. There's your tip.
angrily, like, but still tipping.
I was gonna say that you know what would have been perfect if you took it and you're like, here's a tip, Nate. Put the sound effects closer to the mic. Anytime we have very mean, helpful tips
Yeah.
that we just want to passively aggressively say, we just take the jar.
Brush your teeth more. Not directed at you, just people.
Oh,
But it's like a mean tip to give someone, I think.
oh, I like that. Okay, so we're just gonna do tips now.
Sure.
Okay, so
Sure.
the tip segment. Only tip in coins. Save your bills for you.
Bills, more like Williams. This is stupid. Tell me about that book.
Oh, okay. Okay, I gotta clear my throat on this one because I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so that was my actual cough. The other one was a sound effect.
Either the mic stand is a little loose or a robot is humping another robot, baby.
Beep boop.
Beep, 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 beep.
Beep beep beep.
Bloop.
I like going from low to high. I think it's a funnier sound effect that way.
As do I.
My funny voice always tends to be like, "Ah!" Like it's so easy and so much more immediately funny to go high, but sometimes you just gotta go low. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really funny voice. Listen to look at me, I'm Oh, Peter, come on.
I mean, Patrick Washburn? Warburton?
Patrick Warburton.
He's made a comedic career on having a deep voice.
You gotta be kidding me. That's my best Patrick Warburton.
got it.
No, I can't do it. It's too distinct.
So books are a thing in this day and age that are it's not a dying art because more books are being published today
Than ever,
than ever, but less books are being read.
Well, this is the thing because I don't get this about studies, right?
Right.
Because I wish they said it, and some do right away, so I can't just blanket state this. But just in general, when people are like, this study says, my biggest thing, especially when it's a comparative, is it more like people comparatively, like how are you judging it just based on population size and then survey, or are you doing it based on like books published? Are you doing it based on like, because sheer volume of number, right? There's just so many people, everything is more constantly.
Yeah. I think when those type of things come out, they account for inflation,
Yeah.
if you will.
For sure. And that makes sense to an extent too. But I always worry because I will be tricked and buy into like the clickbaity stuff with like there was an article where it's just like 99% of college dudes don't like or said they would rape someone if they could. That was a study I read in college. I was like, what? And I read it, and it was an NDSU survey of 50 dudes, so only 50, so it was a small number.
So they
Two-
just interviewed one frat,
Yeah, exactly. And basically.
and
But
half
in
a
the-
person said no.
in the study-
one person said maybe.
in the
that's why
study,
it's
and they
99.
clarified this, they did not define rape.
Oh,
and-
sure.
And 3, I think like the dudes answering the questions said because they didn't define rape is just say like there's this like weird, well, it's this weirdly defined thing of never labeling for consent initially because it's like not trying to kill the mood. But for me the bigger thing was like, so you say 90% out of when you look at like 50 dudes that you interviewed, so that's way too small of a number, and then you also don't define exactly what you're looking for. It's like
And they're all people from North Dakota.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do a study that with like you say 90% of college males, don't do all the same university. Like you're one, it's probably a really singular demographic, and 2, yeah, like it's not like the biggest campus. So
I mean,
don't know.
if you did 50 people from 50 colleges, each in a different state,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe they're all state schools, maybe they're all universities. At least you have a broad.
Yeah, at least just do it at random
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I've read like
And we're talking about studies, not
studies in general.
the
Yeah, because for some reason I always talk about, and we've talked about this off podcast. I'm like, we shouldn't talk about these or joke about this, and then I always bring it up.
You are the one who brings it up.
I'm obviously fascinated with it as a subject to talk about and joke about, which is terrible for me. So my bad.
My bad. We should joke about everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Not all the time. You know, when I was a younger man, 23, 24, I'd say joke all the time about everything, but joke about everything. Don't not joke about stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like a baby dies at a really young age. It's super bummer, but there's some humor in there.
Yeah. Just don't do it like to the parents right after the miscarriage.
You
Sam,
shouldn't have let him write it.
That's the last pregnancy I invite you to.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you shouldn't have put the wife in a race car.
Yee. I like the development on that one.
Well, yeah, because miscarriages aren't funny, but a miscarriage at a NASCAR race?
Yeah. Or next time, don't bring her to Central Park and put her in the Budweiser cart. See, it's a carriage. Miscarriage.
Oh,
Ooh.
Nice.
So the book is really good. It really changed my perspective, believe it or not.
And that was Nate's book reviews. What's this book called? Is this Dirk Gently or is this the other one?
No. I've heard those books are good, and I heard the show's really different from the books. But
Sure.
It's Douglas Adams. It's called Last Chance to See. And what I find when I've talked to people, because I love Hitchhiker's Guide. Have you ever read it?
I love it. I read it on the road last summer.
Oh, when you were with
road
Gus
trip.
and Nick?
Sure. Yeah. Two buddies who refused to be on the podcast. Love you guys. Refuse to be on it and don't listen to it.
Ugh. Well, they can go suck a butt.
Gus listens to it. He got me into podcasts in the first
Son
place.
of a bitch!
Nick-
I just told him to suck a butt.
Well, I mean, he's a grown man. He'll get
He
over
has
it,
plenty
I
of
hope.
butts to suck in his life.
He's upstairs in his room. He's like, I heard Nate tell me to suck a button. Boy, am I angry. I'm gonna play.
He's live streaming this. Like,
Yeah. He's on Twitch. He's like, guys, I know I should be playing games right now, but you'll never guess what my old roommate and best friend Nate said about me. He told me to fillet.
a glute.
I was trying to think of another word for butt that wasn't extremely crass. And
Oh yeah, glute.
Yeah. Better than a flute, you know, and that's not flack at all. What's this book about?
Okay, so the guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Aldous Huxley.
sure, the great writer also, but he was paid by the BBC, and he makes light of this right away because he doesn't know why he got paid by the BBC, but they approached him and said, "Hey, we want you to write a travel book because you're such a good writer." And he's like, "You guys know I write science fiction comedy?" And they're like, "So here's $50,000."
Yeah.
They basically just hand him all this money. They introduce him to Mark Carradine, who is a co-writer of the book.
Okay.
I think he's labeled as a co-writer because he's Douglas Adams' main traveling companion and source of all the zoological facts.
Sure.
And also he writes a chapter at the end. But the whole point, BBC paid him to go travel the world to meet with all these conservation groups to talk about endangered animals. So there's only 6 chapters. It's 200 pages. It's a pretty big print. So it doesn't take too long to read.
You sound like you're in 6th grade trying to convince another 6th grader
to read this book.
To like read holes.
I don't know, man. It's super lame, but at the same time, I actually really, because one, it's handled with such good humor because it's not even that the book does have a message and it's not super preachy.
Yeah.
But it's so freaking funny because if you don't like Douglas Adams or Hitchhiker's Guide because it's too weird and too zany or whatever, it's like, so take all that out. It's a guy telling insanely funny travel stories and then mixing that with prose about honestly just some of the weirdest animals and then just kind of life in general, evolution, and then why we should protect them. Like they go through 6 different endangered animals, and this is the worst part of the book. So the last chapter, Mark Carradine writes the last, the ending, the epilogue, and just talks about, evolution has just been speeding along and extinctions have been increasing.
Sure.
Since humans have kind of been, overpopulating things or kind of putting their foot into every corner of the earth.
We're overpopulating. I was just talking about this the other day. Last night. We're overpopulating, but we're also overliving.
Right, yeah.
Like people keep having babies and they keep living until they're 70 or 80. Mm-hmm. And like the first time that the average life expectancy got as high, like higher than 50, was 1970.
Really?
Yeah. And like from there on, it's just gotten higher. And it's like
Yeah.
the best thing at this point I can do for Mother Earth is to just die at like 35.
Yeah.
And maybe stop.
Or just don't procreate.
Maybe stop littering. You
Yeah.
know, that. I just like it. It's freedom, baby.
It's one thing. We can get into a littering thing and the whole thing because I'm not an environmentalist or a conservationist.
You could say I'm illiterate. Don't know how to litter.
Solid.
Babooey.
Well, but so he's going in the end and just talking about the rate of extinctions, which I think anyone will tell you who looks into it, right? We're in the Holocene extinction, I think, which is, or maybe we're not in the Holocene extinction. There's different classes of them.
I'll tell you what. I had a halogen bulb went out just the other day.
Going extinct.
Scared the heck
Rare
out of me.
commodities. But it's I don't know. It's not even that. I mean, species go extinct. It's not, it's kind of a thing. It was something that was happening before this, but just the rate that it's happening, and then also just like you were saying, we're overliving, overpopulating. It's not even that. I know in my lifetime I'll never see any of these animals in person, nor will they even have the biggest impact in my life. But it's just one of those sombering things to just kind of see to an extent, because especially the book was written in the 80s,
Like
and so
going to ground zero.
Right. It's just the book was written in the 80s, and you Google some of the animals afterwards, and the populations have risen because of the conservation efforts, like the kakapo. If you want a great parrot to Google, the kakapo with K's, hilarious bird. It's like the only flightless parrot, so it just hops.
Yeah.
And like it's super fat and it's hilarious looking.
In comedy, K is the funniest sound effect. Oh, that was a T, not a K. But that's what people say.
Oh,
you know?
okay. Yeah.
That's
but then,
why all the best swears have hard K's in them.
like, kadam, or
Cook-a-dook-a-doo.
or Christ Almighty, K-Riced. K-sliced.
What would you rate this book? R, PG-13, NC-17, G, X.
I'd give it a good old-fashioned PG. Parental guidance wanted.
Yeah. I like parental guidance when it comes to books because that just means my mom's reading to me. And I miss those days.
They're like, what's this symbol? That's a period.
You're telling me.
Thanks for guiding.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's like a teenage daughter.
Cut to me like getting back from freshman spring break and everybody's like, yo, what'd you do? And I'm like, oh, dude, it's sweet. My mom read me books, dude. Books on books. We got through 2 Harry Potters, bro.
Oh, I loved listening to the audiobooks when I was a kid of those on car trips.
Oh, I believe it. I wasn't allowed, if you can believe that.
Oh, really? Your family wasn't into Harry Potter? I do believe it. There's a couple of friends of mine that I was just talking to my coworker. A friend of mine's family, they were in their church said this, which was strange, but they couldn't celebrate Halloween. They couldn't even give out candy to other kids, so he would always just sit in they would just sit in their basement and watch movies in like complete blackness of their house.
Would you believe it if I told you I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween?
No, seriously?
Mm-hmm. And
Holy
now it's
crap.
my favorite holiday.
Well, you're rebelling still, Sam. I think you got to sort that out with a counselor.
At one point in my life, I don't remember what I was doing that was rebellious because everything I did, my parents thought was rebellious. But my dad, Samuel, you're being rebellious. And before I could say, no, I'm not, he said, you're being a rebel. I was like, well, nail, meat, hammer. You hit it on the head. I don't know. Speaking of nails, hammers, all that stuff, books, audiobooks, just a recap for anybody else who forgot what we were just talking about, like myself. I am going to start a second podcast, and I know I've said it before. I've said I'm going to start the Sam Peter podcast. That stands for shows, art, music, podcasts, everything else related. Big commitment. I might still do that someday, but I'm going to start a podcast for children.
Okay,
Interesting. Because my sister, she hits me up every week, and she's like, I love the podcast, but I can't play it for Oliver, and he just wants to listen to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do a podcast where I read and critique children's books.
Nice.
Like do a live commentary on them. And I think it'll be extremely silly and dumb, but I can't wait.
I think it's a great idea, man.
You like it?
Yeah.
You're the second
Hint,
person
hint.
I've told. I'm going to record the first one probably tomorrow night and just see how it goes. And I got to get a children's book, which that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, just go to your library, man. There's a bunch
Go-
of children's books.
I just got to go to my local library.
Yeah.
Having fun isn't hard when you have a library nearby.
Thanks, government, for funding the podcast. You're not getting a cent.
Yeah, government. Speaking of cents that the government don't get, just started a production company.
Yeah.
It's official, LLC and everything.
Congrats.
And so I'm going to buy my new computer under that LLC, and it's going to be a tax write-off.
Yeah, business expenses. Suck it.
Right?
Suck it, capitalism. Figured you out.
Now I just need to figure out a way to get per diem, which I kind of get with having a job where I earn tips.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm set. I just want that sweet, sweet per diem.
Film in expensive areas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
Film
right.
downtown, film in Chicago, film in LA. It's just like the scene has to be in LA. It's indoors. Yeah.
We talked about
Indoors.
going to LA to film the
Oh.
exterior scenes of this movie that we're shooting next month.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that'd be bare minimum 3 plane tickets. You know, we'd have to get the actor there, and then Eric and myself, and then probably the DP, because Eric and I don't know anything about cameras.
Gotcha.
But, you know, it would have been a lot cooler. It would have made the project a lot more solid. But you got to make those budgetary cuts to make the art that, you know, you want to make.
Yeah. I mean, and celebrate the homestead initially. You know what I mean? There's hopefully I'm hoping there's enough locations for you out here.
I mean, the piece originally took place in like 7 locations, which is a rookie,
Oh, really?
a rookie move when 7 locations within the film. So
Oh,
like an
okay.
apartment, a barbershop.
Oh, okay. Not like 7 states.
No.
Gotcha.
The whole thing takes place in LA, which is why
It'd be nice to shoot something there. Yeah.
to get some exteriors and just like, you know, it would have been 2 scenes
Mhm.
and it would have sold the movie and the character, and it's a bummer, but you know, you have to make those compromises, I guess,
Yeah.
to create. Speaking of compromises, it's that time. We got to take another break. We got to go into
We got to
ads.
compromise our time.
You know, at first I had this podcast and I would just talk for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and I wasn't getting paid to do it. I didn't have sponsors, but now that I'm getting sponsors, it's like we got to go to these
Yeah.
breaks all the time. We
Internet's
gotta-
blowing up, man. Your stock's like Bitcoin. Volatile.
Heyo.
Don't invest right away.
Hey, I was going to make another joke about, I was going to say your breath is like Bitcoin, volatile, but that would have been the second joke that I made that referred to your teeth, and
Hey,
your breath. And
Sam, your joke making style's like Bitcoin. It's a little volatile. Don't really know where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see you guys after the break. Other ad company supporting this podcast this week is My Undies. They're like Me Undies, but I wore them first.
Nice.
And I don't know. A lot of people always talk, you know, they feel my hands and they say, Sam, you got really sweaty hands, right? And I'm like, you should feel my balls. But that's not a problem with Me Undies. With My Undies, sorry. Me Undies is the pirate spinoff.
Oh, for sure.
Me Undies. My Undies really soak up that sweat and they wick it away from your
Your area, yeah.
undesirables.
It's like preening. It's like
exactly like
yeah. If your underwear could preen and already have a sleek sheen of Salsa Dave sweat, get some My Undies, man. It's the way to go.
Salsa Dave sweat.
Oh yeah.
Picante.
Yeah, they come in 3 different flavors: picante, mild, and caliente.
Salt, and they're all very salty. Salty salsa. Salsa Dave, salty salta.
The Deviled Advocate is also sponsored by toothbrushes. We gave you tips earlier. Brush your teeth, idiots.
When you want to get your teeth parted just right, use a toothbrush.
I like to sing into them.
I like to put them in my mouth. You know what else I like to put in my mouth is the next sponsor on this week's episode. Eggs. They're clear. They're yellow. Then they're white. They come in a shell. Do I need to say any more? No.
The Devil Advocate is also sponsored
There's
by
no D in egg.
The Deviled Advocate is also sponsored by My Squarespace. A tool to create a website to make it look like you have friends. My Squarespace.
The last sponsor on the show is meteor showers. They hurt a lot more than regular showers, but they'll get you clean off the face of the earth.
I'll give you this. They're hammier than most of the showers I take.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
a little bit more muscular.
Yeah.
They're meteor showers.
All right, we are back. We've got a weekly segment I like to do called Heroes and Dummies. You did it once. Are you familiar with it, or do I need to go through the explanation?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so Heroes and Dummies.
I don't remember that last time.
I get people calling in all the time saying that, they're beep boop beep boop beep hitting me on the hotline. It's a five-digit number. They say, Sam, Heroes and Dummies. What are you talking about? Heroes are people that have made my life better in minuscule or minuscule ways over the course of the week. Dummies are people that have really cheesed me off. They're idiots. They're cheap tippers. They're grade A beanbags, what have you. This week we're going to do a little differently, I believe. You brought the hero because you're trying to stay in more of a positive mindset these days.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a list of dummies on my phone.
Yeah, which that really surprised me that you kept that listed.
I'm vindictive. Most of them are people that haven't tipped very well.
Gotcha. But it's a grudge list to an extent. Like you're gonna once you have the money, you're gonna go to the deep web and you're gonna hire someone to pants them.
That would be actually really funny. That'd be a good way to spend the money.
But
I'll never get that money if they don't tip well.
I'll do it for cheap.
So let's start with your hero. I'd like to know who it is.
My hero is a Lyft driver out in Texas. Her name is Villianne.
Not a name.
I didn't think so either. I got a picture of her.
Did you get a picture of her birth certificate?
No.
So you could call
just
her
on
parents
Lyft.
and say,
The
hey,
picture
what?
I didn't take a picture with her. It's just the Lyft profile picture, and it's very funny. It's way too close to her face. She is a 40-year-old single mom, and just one of the nicest ladies I've ever met in my entire life.
Sure.
Literally having a bad day, and she was just literally every disappointment is a blessing.
She said that?
Yep. She's like, I was meant to pick you up and tell this to you. She's like, there's another ride I was going to pick before you, and I said nope, and I picked this ride instead. And she
Something
was just,
about Nagasaki-Mexico really makes me want to give him a ride.
I should probably make that all of my profiles everywhere at this point.
I think so. It is your name. I mean, your name's Nate. Parentheses Nagasaki.
You mean
parentheses.
Nagasaki parentheses Nate Mexico?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I mean. Dummy this week is a fella I delivered to. So we were having torrential downpour, right? It was
Not great.
You know what? I'm gonna chuck it into 3 dummies. So this week at work, my shift was about to come to an end. All I had to do was wait for the second night driver to show up. There were 3 scheduled. One was there. They didn't show up. Right?
Yeah,
and so
okay.
I'm stuck at work. I work an 11-hour day yesterday. The busiest night of the year because of the rain. Like we got slammed with orders. And so I'm running around with a chicken with its head cut off, like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very messy in my car, and I ran into a lot of children.
A lot of blood mixing.
So it's downpouring. It's rush hour. I'm trying to get places as fast as I can. So I'm calling people like 3-4 blocks ahead, and I'm like, hey, I'm on my way. I'm really close. Like, just be ready for me. Ask them what their house looks like, or ask them what their apartment is, just to, and then ask them how they're doing. I just like to make these phone calls beforehand. But I call this dude. I'm on a bridge for like 20 minutes, and by the time I get to the middle of the bridge, I'm like, okay, I'll be at his place in 4 minutes. I'll give him a call, make sure he's downstairs because he's on the 20th floor.
Yeah.
I call him nothing. I call him nothing. I get there. I call him nothing. I call again. Leave a message. I say, hey, this is Sam with your pizza. I'm here. I'm going to leave in 2 minutes. We're really busy if I don't hear from you. 2 minutes pass.
Nothing. Yeah.
I text him. I say, hey, man, pizza's here. really gonna have to leave if I don't hear from you in 2 minutes. And he texts me back right away, and he's like, "Oh, I wondered who was calling. I'm coming down." And so he takes like 5 minutes to get down. You know, I'm like, "Hey man, sorry about all the calls and texts." He's like, "How long have you been here?" And I was like, "I don't know, 7-8 minutes." He's like, "Oh, I didn't realize it." And I was like, "It's because you didn't answer your phone." You know, we joke about how I'm sorry about how late I am because the weather's bad. I'm really just trying to get as much out of this guy as I can. I talk about,
Right.
you know, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm soaking. It's crazy." He tips me $1.
Oh, really?
You know, and like culturally, they don't tip. They don't believe in tipping this specific group, and that's fine. I've gotten used to it.
Oh, okay.
But $1 is more insulting than nothing.
I used to work catering. It's the only tip I've ever refused. The only tip amount.
Really?
Yeah, I went to what is it? It was somebody's wedding, and I was just kind of butler passing stuff. And one guy's like, "Hey man, can you just go to the bar and get me a drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And I literally was planning on doing it. Like I wasn't expecting a tip. It was just like, "It's a wedding. I get it.
Yeah.
I'll get you a drink. It's fine." He was older.
Wait,
He
you were
literally-
a butler?
I was, yeah. Well, butler passing is when you go to like a fancy place and you see people just holding trays with stuff for you to take. That's
Yeah.
the term is butler passing.
Oh, that's cool. I
Yeah.
never knew it.
Yeah,
I love
but-
those people.
Yeah, but I get him the beer or whatever, and then he tries like he like has it folded like it looks like it's gonna be a lot. It's like $1, and he's like, "Here you go," and I'm like, "Dude, I almost went off on it. I'm like, I'd rather not even take that. It's a little demeaning. Like if you're gonna tip me for doing you like $1, like $2 is fine.
I mean-
a single dollar bill. I don't know. That was just like, come on, man.
I think $1 on a beer is pretty good.
I don't
But-
know. I just felt like if you're gonna. It doesn't for me matter the task. It's like don't tip somebody $1.
Especially
That's me.
since like no one was like you weren't waiting on him.
No, I was just like, I'll get it for you. It doesn't matter to me.
People probably weren't tipping throughout the night. Like people weren't when they took
No,
a
a different guy-
slipping a couple dimes.
A different
in your
guy
pocket.
tipped me $5 for just giving him what like he asked for during the meal,
Yeah.
and I'm just like that's for me. It's like okay, I get that, but then I don't know. Like
Sure.
maybe
Yeah,
it was
but
just
are you expecting tips throughout at this
No.
job?
no, not throughout the night from random people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like in Party Down where they can either take the tip jar or just take the 20%?
No, it's always it's usually if there is sometimes it's just like there's no tip built in.
Sure.
And sometimes there is, and if there is, there's like a bigger pressure to do well.
Yeah.
Like by the way, everyone's gonna get tipped this much, so we
Hey.
have to do well.
Y'all are leaving with $18 tonight, so you better be on your game.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Yeah. But sorry, I floored your dummy story.
No, it's all right. I get heated over little things. At the end of the day, I walked out with an extra $1. You know,
Yeah.
not enough to buy a fountain soda, so I don't know why I'm being appreciative. But you
Penny.
get enough $1, you know,
Yeah.
you can buy a Porsche. So always appreciate tips. Just if it's under $2, I feel like I consider that a stiff.
Yeah.
You know, and the dude got like 3 pizzas, so it's
Yeah. It's a little bizarre.
come on, son.
Usually at least do 10%.
But yeah, I don't know. You got any bad jokes you want to tell to kill off the last?
No,
of this
I have a
hour?
lot of great jokes that
All
I'm
right.
going to pleasure your ears with.
Even better.
We tried this last time. I don't know if I got you to laugh at all.
You didn't, but it's a fun challenge. And since you and I are both kind of have dreams of being funny people, like myself, stand up isn't the goal. It was at one point in time. I would really like to be a good improviser, which if you listen to the podcast, you can tell I am. But you know, I want to bring comedy to people's life through group work and sitcom type stuff, sketch comedy. You know, you want to do stand up, which is a phenomenal goal. It's the most pure pure work of art. You know, we talked a couple weeks ago how comedians are the modern day philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, let's hear these great jokes.
Oh God. Now I feel too put on the spot after that beautiful intro.
Comedy is the only thing that matters.
That's 100% true.
And air and running water.
So I always thought people who were into vape life or vaping, they always kind of bugged me, you know, personally, especially the people who are like, oh man, vaping's so much more healthier for you, blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah. Like it's like, oh, it's like, do you know what vaporizing something is? It's Nagasaki. Come on, man. To your lungs. Hashtag Nagasaki-Mexico. um. Oh, so this was a weirder thought I had. So I have very poor vision.
Sure.
I wear glasses.
You and I
And-
alike.
Yeah, we both do. And then and I didn't
I
get
could say
bullied.
looking at you is like looking through the looking glass.
Looking through the looking glass.
Yeah. A looking glass is just a spectacle, right?
I no idea. I thought it was a mirror.
No, it's definitely a mirror. Yeah.
Anyway, the joke. So I didn't get
I'll
bullied.
be the judge of that.
Oh god, I didn't get bullied too much.
Sure.
But a very classic line I heard from a bully once is like, "Oh, you wearing glasses? What are you, a nerd or something?" And I was like, "Why is that a nerdy thing to do? Like, why is poor vision having anything to do with being a nerd?" So I went to the library and I got this book and I was reading about all these famous people who wore glasses and bad vision. And then I found out one of the biggest causes of having bad eyesight or needing glasses is straining the eyes. So, for example, like going and reading too much, like Malcolm X was a great person I looked at. Like he only had to wear glasses after prison because he was reading. But he was reading even in the hours of the night, literally like putting his book up to the edge
Sure.
of his cell and reading when the guards weren't away. And I was like looking at this and researching this, and then I realized I am kind of a nerd, aren't I? Jesus.
I was like, I think you forgot you were telling a joke.
That's
Hey, you're such a nerd. You wear glasses because you read so much.
It's like, yeah, I'm also gonna probably have a career that pays me to fly to Mexico
dang straight.
or Texas, the Mexico of the United States.
Yeah, that's
didn't
why they
go to
call it
Mexico,
Mex-Tex. They I'm not it's kind of like a two-part. It's not really mixed together yet.
Sure.
But one part of it is like I kind of hate fusion food personally. It's like I get we're trying to make new foods or trying to I guess be more inventive. But it's like when I order a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I don't want freaking ham in it. You know what I mean? Like, get this out. Also, races should only marry each other. No interracial marriage. That's where the other part of the joke goes.
That was great. That was
Yeah, I got 5 more. I got 50 of these freaking things.
Let's do
Want to hear my only classic style?
let's do 3 more and then reassess the situation after those.
Okay.
These are better than last time.
Okay, that's good actually.
So you're learning how to write jokes.
That's also good. Let's say maybe I only have 1. Yeah, let's just do
I've got a joke.
really, can I do my one only classic style joke and then you do it?
Sure.
So I was thinking actually, I know you know what I do for work completely, but I was thinking about going for a new job. So it was very interesting. My buddy told me, "Hey man, there's this position for a gravekeeper, a graveyard worker." And he's like, I was like, oh, "Okay, sweet." And I tried looking through Craigslist and the newspaper, couldn't find it, but I guess I just wasn't digging deep enough.
That was good. That was good.
That's it. Yeah.
I think all of those jokes work better reading. Like, I think if I would have read those, I may have laughed a lot louder
Yeah.
and harder.
As opposed to just hearing
yeah.
the rambling styles.
Well, also, like, I don't know. Within 15 seconds of every joke you were telling, I was listening to you intently like it was a conversation. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I do know how you feel.
That's
What? Races? Marrying each other? This guy's got a point.
Yee.
So recently and I told you this before we started, but I'm going to do it on the pod anyway.
Mhm.
So I've been thinking about people recently who don't pay their bills on time. It's like,
Really? Tell me about it.
how do you do that? How do you live your life without paying your bills? I don't understand. Because for me, nothing gets my dick as hard as writing that check at the end of the month, you know? Like, knowing I'm paying my bills on time is great. The problem is I have to write a check every night before I go to bed. And not only is it hurting me physically, but it's killing my bank account.
That's literally nothing gets your
Yeah.
your dick hard.
Oh, I left that part out too.
No, you said nothing.
But I didn't say the literal. I don't know. Doesn't
Oh.
matter. I'll listen back to it and I'll decide that this is definitely stuff I want people to hear me say.
Yeah, very final thing of the podcast.
Let's hear it.
We said it pre-recording. We're not going to record one again until we've done open mic together. Until we attempted. I know you've had buddies who are actually like comics in the area on the pod.
Everybody who's on wants to do comedy.
Oh yeah, I mean us included.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, I'd like to get back and try telling some jokes.
See, I want to have you on again as soon as possible, but that makes me not want to shake on this pact, because what if we don't get up and do it? But shaking on this pact will be a double whammy.
Yeah,
It'll
be motivation for us to do it, and then
open
motivation, to do it after, and then we can talk about how it went.
Absolutely, man. I agree. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. I think it'll be a blast.
We're shaking hands. Shake, 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 shake.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a friend of the show.
Every time. See, some people say anytime, but every time I demand it. I want spin-offs. I want royalty rights.
Yeah. The Deviled Nagasaki-Mexico Egg podcast.
Gross.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Check you later, ears.
My legs ran frantic like birds from a nest, and I ran until drained, leaving no choice but rest. So I fell asleep softly at the edge of a cave, but I should have gone deeper, but I'm not so brave. And like that I was torn out and thrown in the sky, and I said all my prayers because surely I'd die. As I crashed down and smashed into earth, into dirt, how my skin did explode, leaving only my shirt. Yet their mouths still remain stacked up towards the moon.